Hey everybody, it's me Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 Hz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant-based diet going for yourself today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and go with alkalinity. Then you can generate some static electricity. Send me some love telepathically. Set attention to your mind and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So today I'm gonna go over opening the DNA and obviously the resonance that comes in with this, and astral travel. So let's get into this. So opening DNA is pretty much a process that is synonymous with rising the kundalini. When the kundalini begins to rise up the spine from its coiled status or its untapped status, then the DNA begins to blossom in the same sequential pattern, which is the double helix. And on the genetic level, everything that is taking place when it comes to the process of rising the kundalini is reflected and refracted throughout the level of genetics. So when you begin to awaken the kundalini, spiral it up the spinal cord, the DNA begins to blossom. And when the DNA blossoms, a lot begins to open up because there is a specific resonance that is then taking place. Before the kundalini is able to blossom, it's crumpled in on itself, so it can't resonate in the way that allows for the flourishing to take place transversely, right? So then once the transversal resonance comes into blossom, you're able to come into a harmony. You're able to come into a harmonious transcendent process, which is what the transverse is. It's a harmonious transcendent process that reflects the rising of kundalini, and within the harmony of that transcendent versing is a transcriptioning. What a transcriptioning is a it's a scription that involves the reflection, or consists of the reflection of divine creativity, which is tapped into as the kundalini begins to spiral and blossom up the spinal cord. The same energy that you are using to procreate, create another being, the same energy that you would use to continue the whole cycle of birth and death, which is literally the universal wheel, the same energy that is sustaining that universality is able to blossom, and it brings forth that divine creativity, right? The divine creativity is that same creative potential that allows for the sustainment, the creation, and even the destruction of the universe itself, which is the cycling of life and death. When you are procreating, when you're creating another life, and this is what the quote Kundalini is pretty much used for, you are continuing the whole universe. because we are the universe. When we continue to reproduce, procreation, we're sustaining creation. We're sustaining the universe, which is creation. So the energy that is backing that process up is a divine energy, because it's a universal energy. It's a godly energy, because it's an energy with an intelligence that sustains the universe, right? But when that energy uncoils itself, it has much more that potential energy that is in it, that is petrified within this coiled state at the bottom chakras, is able to blossom and resonate transversely, and that's what allows for the transcription, which the transcription holds the encoding to be able to transcend beyond the cyclings of life and death, which is coming into higher and higher states of life, power, or knowledge. And this is how you come into being able to take up that role of being a god or a goddess, right? Because you can be in the lower states of it, and you can sustain it as a column, as a columnar or pillar, but you don't necessarily have to. You're not necessarily conscious that you can also fill that role of creating it and destroying it and sustaining it. But you're doing that even if the kundalini is coiled or closed or petrified, right? So that resonance allows for the generation of self-consciousness, and that resonance only comes when the DNA is uncoiled, because it's in a petrified, coiled state. There's no resonance to it. It's more muffled, right? Harness it, right? By blossoming it, you can then come into the resonance, and self-consciousness begins to generate within itself, and then you can transcend and ascend into heavenous states, which is states of bliss, serenity, absolute peace, and immense knowledge, which is synonymous with life. Knowledge and life are one and the same, because knowledge is power, and power is life. Your phone has power. My phone has life. When your phone runs dead, it's lost its power, it's lost its life. And that's the same as knowledge. That's why we say knowledge is power. They're one and the same. Life and knowledge are one and the same. The heart, the mind, these are synonymous with each other. They're one and the same. Knowledge is never a bad thing. Knowledge is bliss. So, once again, the resonance that comes with opening up the kundalini energy opens you up to cosmic consciousness, which is literally being within that role of being a cosmic deity. It's a process of deification, or it's a process of deifying yourself, which is literally the process of coming into divinity, which is also rooting back to literally just observing the blossoming of nature, right? Like lotus blossom, cosmic consciousness blossoms. But you have to let it, right? Obviously, there are systems that are here to corrupt the flowers from blossoming, but this is also part of nature, right? You go to various different parts of the world, fields of flowers blossoming, and everything has its rhythm of blossom. But then there's also clusters of that field that aren't able to blossom, right? And this is just nature. This is how it works. So obviously there's systems that are either ignored or aware of that are corrupting the whole process of being able to rise the kundalini and come into the transcendent process. But with a little bit of consciousness, if somebody's telling you and helping you to understand, then it can easily be taken into your own hands, and you can easily allow for the blossoming of the kundalini energy to transcend the whole cycling and take up the role of or the process of deification, right? Deify yourself, which is literally just self-realization, right? Every being is living for or living towards self-realization, right? Whatever being you're looking at, they're there for self-realization. That's something that we're all kind of growing into, self-realization. Beyond anything else, beyond anything of Maya, it's self-realization. Beyond all discrimination of speciality, it's self-realization, right? And this comes naturally, once again, because this is a type of blossoming, and all things blossom. And self-realization is just synonymous with enlightenment, liberation, and evolution, revolution, right, within oneself. So then blossoming the kundalini, you just don't get in your own way, because it's something that happens naturally. The kundalini is inevitably going to rise up the spine. You can accelerate the process through systems, ancient systems. You can accelerate the process through whatever method that you intuitively know will work. You can let it rise naturally as well. But you can also do things to stagnate the process, which is supporting the petrified state, the earthy state, supporting densification, right? But you can go to the opposite side of the spectrum with it. Instead of supporting densification and materiality, you can go into spirituality and the subtler energetical vibratory rations, right? So then this involves studying energy. The more you observe, the more that you're going to begin to understand spirit, because spirit is consciousness. This is also one with observation. The more you study, the more you observe, the more that you're going to be able to educate yourself and come into higher states of life or knowledge or power. The more power you have, the more that you can relish and cherish life, right? So then all it really is allowing the kundalini to rise. Once again, you can take it into your own hands to be able to rise it at an accelerated rate, meaning you can fasten the whole process of rising the kundalini and transcending into higher states of being, transcending Maya. But on the flip side of this, you can also stagnate the entire process of transcendence and ascension, right? Which a lot of people are unknowingly doing. But once again, this is a natural thing. There's gradients to it, right? Things aren't just one color. I mean, maybe in one sense they can be, but then color ceases to be a concept, right? So you can stagnate, you can accelerate the process, but that's up to you if you wish to do that. Stagnation, supporting the stagnation of the kundalini, right, is synonymous with petrification, densification, right? And the earthly realm. Whereas accelerating it and rising the kundalini into subtler and subtler dimensions of being or dimensional understanding is synonymous with the spirit, deification, and eternal life, and even spirituality, which everybody needs. Everybody needs spirituality, right? Because this is something that comes with the growth of a species. Or not only that, but it can go even deeper. It can be, spirituality can be something that is found within all beings on one level, right? Because spirituality within it contains oneness. The basis of spirituality can be oneness, right? Which literally is unification, unity consciousness, unifying all beings, right? So all beings have a sense of spirituality to them, and in this way you can learn from the animals, their flow. You can observe animals, study animals, and you can learn through their flow about energy and about awareness, consciousness. Energy and consciousness are one and the same. Same as with plants. You can study plants, you can learn their growth, you can learn their flows. And in studying them very closely, being very observant, you expand your own consciousness through taking up the flow or the growth of that plant. That's what code is, right? So you can study anybody, right? You can study within your species, you can study within another species, you can study anything, and this is going to help you to educate yourself without any type of third party, right? Because it's all oneself. So then you slowly come into higher and higher states of knowledge, which is higher dimensional understanding. It begins to multiply to infinitudes, and understanding begins to blossom very deeply. And understanding is consciousness. This is peace, the serenity, that serenity. But yeah, the blossoming of the kundalini energy from its petrified densification into subtler, accelerated vibratory rates allows for the travel of the astral realm, right? And even higher realms, right? It's not only about the astral realm, because there's many realms to travel, but the astral realm is definitely one of the realms that you will be in as you're going through the process of kundalini awakening. And the astral is a central realm, right, that connects all other realms. So being able to expand your awareness into the astral is also going to invite in that interdimensional merge, right? The interdimensional merge is pretty much when you go through a process where omnidimensionality begins to arise within you, right? Omnidimensionality is a dimensionality that is of everything, right? So when all dimensions begin to merge into each other, blend into each other, bleed into each other, you're definitely on the path of rising the kundalini. This is when perception begins to drastically change. This is when your experience of life begins to drastically change itself into higher and higher states of life. And this is what all the holistic figures will be speaking of. And this is why it's so timeless, because this is the direction of growth that everything takes. It's of a oneness, right? Which is holism. It's holistic. When you begin to realize that your source or your everything, you're one with everything. That's what holism is. Having a holistic understanding is understanding that you as a part reflect the entirety or totality or the whole within yourself. So since you're a part that reflects the whole, you are one with the whole. That's what holism is. And all holy figures, all holy beings who have come to the state of realization and enlightenment are speaking this because they're holy, they're holistic. The root of the word holistic is holy, which is whole. They're one with all. That's also the state of unconditionality, unconditional love. Because if you're really feeling that you're one with everything and you're experiencing oneness with all cosmic consciousness, there's no way that you can torture another person and not see that you're torturing yourself, because you would at that point be torturing yourself. So it lessens the blow, right? Let me see. So opening up the kundalini is definitely drastically going to change your perception of life, but that's what is needed. That's what Jesus was on. That's what Buddha is on. That's what all the realized beings are on. And you can't escape that, because that's the direction of growth that all species or all beings are taking. Everything is growing in the direction of self-realization, realizing one's divinity, right? Because you are one with the entire universe. Universe is one song. We're all harmoniously playing a song with one another, but it's really just one being, right? This is why ontologics are so important, because without ontological understanding, which is metaphysics, without the ontological understanding opened up, it's very, very hard to bring the connections within your perception. But as you begin to rise the kundalini, the ontological connections will then develop within the genetics, because they're already there. The ontological connections, the ontological designs, fractally are within the petrified state. But once the resonance comes in and that self-consciousness begins to generate, the ontological design is then able to be understood because it's seen with the expansion of self-awareness. See, awareness or consciousness is an eye. Consciousness is another eye. When you're aware, you can see, you're awake. Buddha, the awakened one, he's conscious. You can see, so consciousness is another eye, but it's not the two eyes. It's a different type of vision. It's light. But with the self-generation of consciousness, with the blossoming of the kundalini and the resonance that is then designed in, is allowing for you to begin to see the ontological feedback. And with that, you can easily begin to see the universality in transcription, right? Which is within the process of transcendence of the universe, Maya, right? That's gonna be it for today's video. I do thank everybody for watching. Once again, peace out. One love and have a great evening.